Hi, it's Angela, and you are listening to Divinely Connected. I am here with your weekly guidance for June 18th to the 24th. So let's get to it, see what's going on. All right, so we do have the first card coming in. There is some communications that coming to the forefront that is really triggering the ego. Okay, so they're saying like we need to remain objective. We need to be fear minded. We need to be watching how we communicate. What's really important is to communicate clearly, to say what you mean. Don't dim yourself down. It's all about deliver. We can say anything when we are respectful, right? So there is this feeling of needing to be purposeful and attentive with our communications. Now, when the ego gets triggered, this is doubt, fear, defensiveness, when we're feeling superior, when we're feeling inferior. So wherever it is that you're landing on that spectrum, it does feel like it's a falsehood. Okay. There is this feeling of this illusion of you being less than, or this illusion of your hands being tied, or, you know, this feeling like I can't be myself. There is this kind of falsehood belief that is determining how you are moving forward, how you are communicating, how you are holding yourself, how are making your decisions, right? So there is this need to almost take this step back and go, okay, where is this coming from? Right? Where is this coming from? Feel what it is that you're feeling and then challenge it, because there is this sense of I understand why you're feeling it. Like, I understand it, but there's also this feeling of like, but that's not what's really happening here. Right. So, wanting to kind of take that time and take that awareness within to reassess what is actually happening, right? To reassess what is happening so that we can proceed at the best of our ability, right? We do have endings coming in next. So, this is the end of a situation that brings relief, sadness, or both. The opportunity for new happiness, a weight off your shoulders, the end of an addiction, struggle, or challenge. All right. So, this is the feeling of bittersweet, right? So, there is this feeling of bittersweet energy that's coming in. So, there is this wrapping up. There is this sense of, okay, we have endings coming in. I know for me, just a personal memory that just popped into my head is that my firstborn is now wrapping up grade 5, which means that he'll be going to middle school next year, and we're doing like a little pinning ceremony, and I already know I'm going to be a blubbering fool, right? So that was like I'm like, "Oh yeah, this card is accurate." I already know that I'm gonna need help with my emotions this week. So these endings are coming in, they are going to be complicated emotionally, right? So there are going to be complicated emotionally in that you are going to be feeling the spectrum, right? A whole spectrum of emotion. So again, endings can be departures, they can be wrapping up seasons, lessons, experiences, job changes, retirement, home changes, anything that once was that no longer is, right? So whatever it is that's changing, there is going to be a process of grieving. And remember, grief is not only for departed loved ones, grief is for anything that once was that no longer is, right? Because we are all energy and we're attached to everything by energy. When we let something go, we are then feeling that energy fall away. So of course there's going to be feeling of grief. Of course it's going to be like something's missing or something doesn't feel right. And so we need to allow ourselves to have that experience and that emotional experience without overthinking it or going, oh my gosh, this was a decision that I made for myself. I didn't expect that I was going to feel this way. This must be a mistake. Right. So that's not what that means. It just means that we're grieving it, that there is connections that are being released. And of course, we're going to feel that. Right. So depending on the significance of what is ending, that will dictate the intensity of the grief that's connected to it. Okay. All right. So we do, there we go. We got into the other endings card coming in. All right. So these two cards, if you are familiar with tarot decks, this is a tarot angel deck. There's always like two cards in the deck that say pretty much the same thing. They just came out together. All right. So this card says, wait, which one did I read? All right. This card says the ending of challenging times. Things are looking up, a welcomed relief. finding your way to a peaceful place, the end of depression, illness, travel, or relocation. So again, has a little bit more of that reassurance to it. Okay. So even though we do have some endings coming in, and don't forget, we're also going into the new season. So spring is wrapping up and summer is coming in. So there's going to be a change out in energy connected to that as well. We do want to allow ourselves to go through the flow of the energy and the emotions that come into this, because this has a lot more optimism to it. You're going to feel a little bit more reassured that everything is happening as it should, that you're moving forward in the ways that you should, and feeling a little bit more confident, especially if you were in that decision making step. Okay. There's also the feeling of being gentle with ourselves, because I feel like it's going to be a highly emotional week, just consistently kind of going up and down. There's also this feeling of broken sleep. So we're not going to be sleeping great. So that also kind of adds to the irritability and not really feeling like yourself. So keeping this in mind, and this is what I always say as well. If we have this awareness and we know that this is coming in and that we know the planets are doing whatever they're doing, right? And we're into the energy is changing out and we're kind of moving through moon phases, etc. We understand it. We can go, okay, hang on. This is why I'm feeling spicy. This is why I'm crying every day. This is why I can't sleep. And that knowledge allows us to have a little bit more compassion and understanding with ourselves. Doesn't mean that people who are not aware of this isn't affected by it. Everybody's affected by it. Just some of us understand why it's happening, right? So it's usually the people who are not that who do not have the awareness connected to it that may be a little more highly reactive. Right. So there is this feeling of both depending on who you live with, who you deal with. So there is if this is adults, we may need to have some boundaries in. We may need to be like, you know what? I'm going to screen my calls this week because I'm not taking that on. But if you have little people like me, they are just a mirror of whatever is happening. So you may be finding yourself regulating their emotions with them. You may be kind of helping them through it and allowing them to feel safe as they go through the spectrum of emotions. Okay. Temporary, remember, it's temporary. We can do it. You can make it through it. Okay. There we go. So we do have the star card coming in next. The star card is highly like reassuring. It is positive. It's future abundance, future prosperity. So it says, have faith that the future is bright. Dreams come true. Positive changes that bring an end to challenging time. The light at the end of the tunnel. This is 3 cards that are bringing in endings. 3 cards. All right. So again, just validating that these seasons that are wrapping up, these life experiences that are wrapping up are coming in as they should, that these may be ideas. The new beginnings coming in could be new opportunities, new experiences, new ideas coming in. There is this feeling of, like you say, intellect versus emotion. So we're going to have that ebb and flow and just allow that balance to kind of come in with allowing. When we fight our emotions or we judge our emotions, that's when we kind of create a lot of resistance within ourselves. Remember, emotions are meant to be moved through us. We're not meant to attach to them, and we certainly are not meant to identify as them. Okay, so we want them to just move through us. They come, they teach, they leave. All right. And I think that this is so important to remind yourself this as we go in it, because we can get very much attached or we can be fearful. And our ego loves to be so, it loves to exaggerate, right? So if we're having a hard time, if we have a departure, if we have an ending, a disappointment coming in, we're never going to be happy again, right? Or if we're happy, it's just like, this isn't going to last. We better enjoy it, right? So like our ego loves to just magnify whatever it is that we're feeling. We're just going to let it come in. We're going to let it go out. We're going to appreciate the good stuff. We're going to let go of the negative stuff, and we're just going to let be almost like observe it, right? We want to observe it. We don't want to stifle it. We don't want to judge it. We don't want to attach to it. We want it to flow. All right. I think this is so important. And then coming in next, we do have decision making that needs to come in. So many things. Everything is contradicting this week. Okay. So some of you are going to have different interpretations of these experiences. Okay. Some people are going to have decisions that come in that they cannot decide on, that there is this feeling of, but you have to. Right. So there is, because it's interesting because, okay, so those who are making decisions this week that already know what they need to do, the resistance is, I don't want to do it. Right. I know what I need to do, but I don't want to do it. If you fall in that category, this is the week for you to do it. This is the week for you that the energy is going to support this getting done. There is this feeling of like, you know what? No, you're right. In the past, like that wasn't the time. This time, like we're going to be able to articulate this. We're going to be able to execute it. It's going to work out. Like this is the week to get things done. Now, if you fall in the category where the decisions that's coming in and you're just like, I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if this is the right thing for me. They want you to stop and go within. Okay? Because they just said, "Listen, you're cutting yourself short." Right? So you are not recognizing the value that you have by just being your authentic self. You who you are as a being is the value here. Okay. So there is this sense of like hitting that pause button and going within to build that security within you. This opportunity would not be coming to you if it was not meant for you to make the decision that is best for you in this moment. Okay. So honoring yourself no matter where it is. Sometimes we may have these opportunities coming in, and then when it comes and it's offered to us, you're like, but I don't feel like this is what's best for me. And I don't feel like I'm making that decision because I don't think that I'm good enough or I don't think I'm able to do it. It just doesn't feel like it's the right decision for me. You honoring yourself in that is the right decision, right? So there'd be times that I have had in my experience, as an example, where I intuitively had heads up of an opportunity that was going to come my way. And I remember as this experience happened and as I had the heads up from the divine that this opportunity was coming to me, I automatically thought I was going to say yes. I automatically thought, oh, I'm taking this opportunity. And then when it came, I was like, "Oh, this doesn't feel right for me." And I remember being so confused because I'm like, "But I saw this coming." Right? But just because I saw it coming didn't mean that I was to take it. And I didn't understand that at the time. Right? So now, when these opportunities, if I get the heads up intuitively, and then it comes to me, I still need to honor what I feel is best for me in that moment. But there is that need to take the step back, especially if the ego's kicked up, especially if you're not feeling super confident in your decision making, or we're feeling rushed, or we're feeling like, oh, I'm just not going to do it. It's too scary. You want to kind of sit with yourself and go, okay, hang on. What is the best thing for me in this moment? How am I to best make this decision moving forward? And if you are feeling like you're not good enough, or that you're fearful, or you're feeling insecure in some sense, like, no, 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 no. We're not going to let that version of ourselves dictate whether we're going to take this opportunity or not. So wanting to get to yourself and kind of go within, because this does feel like it feels a little personal. They also had brought out the child card. So this is either going to be connected to your children or connected to your inner child. So there is a reason why this is kind of kicking up, and that we need to kind of allow ourselves to take that step back, because on some level we are feeling a little triggered. All right. So we need to take this step back and create this foundation for ourselves, and then decide what is best for me to as I move forward. Okay. And the clarity comes in right away. So if you're worried that you're not going to be able to figure out how to proceed, the clarity comes in right away once you take that time for yourself. Now, this card says unfounded fear. So, you're going to be feeling a little bit unsure. There's going to be nervousness. Of course, there is, right? Especially when we're making decisions, especially when nothing is guaranteed, or we're deciding to do something new, right? But it's do it scared, right? Don't let that, of course we are. Even, there's things that we have done a million times that we still get nervous for, right? And so it's important that you check yourself. Is this fear because I actually think this is dangerous and I actually think that this is bad for me? Or this is fear because it's not guaranteed and there is a possibility that I may fall on my face, right? So again, wanting to take that awareness and check yourself and then proceed. right? So it's that whole feel what you're feeling and then challenge it before you automatically say no. Right? Why am I feeling this way? Why am I letting this feeling dictate how I'm going to proceed? Right? And just again, bringing that awareness within, and that way that you're going to be giving your soul space to communicate with you. You're going to be using your intuition. And when we lead with our intuition, we rarely are led astray, right? So taking that time to connect with yourself is always the best thing to do, and then proceed. Okay. And get away from that expecting the worst. Listen, stop it. Stop it. Right. Because it doesn't feel like that's what's happening here. All right. And sometimes our ego likes to say, oh no, I'm just preparing for the worst. I'm just protecting you. I'm keeping you safe by expecting the worst. And sometimes that is what that is. Sometimes that is exactly what should be happening. Oftentimes, it's a sneaky way that we like to steal our own joy, or we like to keep ourselves minimized, or we like to give ourselves excuses to not do the thing, not go after the thing, not fulfill the dream, right? So, again, just hold yourself accountable, call yourself out on your stuff. Right. And bring that awareness within. And then you're going to be able to proceed in a better space and in a space that's aligned with your truth. Right. And I think that that is going to be so important. So, like, look, they're saying meditation, go within. That's where all your answers lie. That's where all your answers lie. And there's the balance card. Okay. So, even though this week does feel like it's a little bit roller coasty with just up and down emotions, right? And nothing that I think is really like nothing. I feel like we've been through worse, to be honest. To me, it's just kind of like, here's a little heads up. We may be starting the day feeling like crap, ending the day feeling amazing, or vice versa. We may be feeling all the things in between. It's temporary. I feel like we can make it to next weekend, and next weekend is going to be so much lighter and brighter. So this to me feels like we are reacting to whatever the moon's doing, whatever the planet's doing, like whatever's happening. To what me, there is that feeling of like, okay, so we're just all kind of just, all of those things, right? So keep that in mind as you move forward. Have compassion for yourself as well as others. So remember, you guys have the insight. We have the insight of why we're feeling the way that we're feeling. And that kind of slows down any spicy reactions, right? But there's the majority of the people walking around that have no idea why they're feeling the way that they're feeling. So they're very spicy, they're very irritable. Their inability to regulate their emotions are going to be coming at you. So we just want to put our boundaries up, screen those phone calls, drink our water, try to go to bed early, especially if we're having broken sleep. We're going to try to make that up. But it is temporary. And the closer we get to that next weekend, the better we're going to be feeling. All right. Thank you so much for tuning into Divinely Connected Podcast. Make sure you come back tomorrow for tomorrow's daily message.